Hey guys, welcome back to Asian Boss Girl, the podcast for the modern day Asian American woman. I'm Mel.
I'm Helen.
And I'm Janet.
Alright guys, so we're on episode 12, and actually this is our last episode for season 1.
Wow, we made it through an entire season. Can't believe it.
I know, it's crazy.
We are here.
Like, we've been working on this for about a year now.
Yeah, definitely 9 months this project has been cooking, and we've been pregnant with this project. So speaking of pregnancies, for our last episode, we want to talk about babies.
It's a good transition, Mel.
Thanks. As the baby of the group, I thought it was fitting for me to introduce this topic.
So when you guys were growing up, did you ever, or I guess, do you fantasize about what your family will be like? Do you want kids? Do you want to be a stay-at-home wife? Do you not want that?
All right, so for me, I definitely fantasized about, having a baby and having a family, living in the suburbs with my 2 daughters. I wanted 2 girls, I still do, and just being a working mother because my mom was a working mom, and so I wanted the same thing that she had.
Did you also grow up in the suburbs?
I did.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see. And Janet, I think the last episode you had said that you'd want to live in the city.
Yeah,
right?
I think I fantasized growing up about like living in the city and working, and I didn't even really envision kids. And then when I started thinking about wanting children, I was still kind of opposed to the idea of being a stay-at-home mom. But I actually was raised, like, my mom did stay at home and she gave up her career. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of friends that when I was growing up used to tell me that I was really lucky that I had like a full-time parent that was there. So that is something I consider more and more as I'm getting older. Like, I want to still continue a career, and I think it's great to set an example for your children to be like a working person, but also it's kind of nice that they have like a full support system at home at all times. So I don't know, I'm kind of, back and forth with the idea.
How about you, Helen?
I grew up in 3-story apartment complex in the city, and my family pretty much like took over that complex. So my family, me, my sister, and my mom and my dad, we were on the top floor, and then in the middle was one of my cousins, like their family, and then the bottom floor was my other cousins, plus my grandma and grandpa on my dad's side.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. Wow, you grew up around a lot of family in a big family setting.
Yeah. So it was a really good upbringing. I think, that's the only concept of like home that I've ever known.
Yeah.
I do think though that when I have kids, I'd probably want to like live more in the suburbs.
Do you want to be like a working mom, or do you see yourself staying at home?
I for sure see myself as a working mom. I do want to be a housewife, but only to the extent that my husband's going to be a house husband.
I totally agree with that too. I think the closer we are to getting to that place, like that's something I do think about a lot, like having a partner that's going to share it more 50-50 with you. Mm-hmm. So if you're both working, then you should both also be like splitting the house and the child rearing process.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's super important. So as long as he puts in the work, then I'm going to put in the work too, but it has to be effort on both sides.
Do you want, or how many kids do you want?
I want 2 kids. I know that's pretty like standard of what people want, and I think it kind of makes sense just logistically when you're like going to Disneyland or something, like to have like one adult hold one kid, and then also car seats and all of that. So, and having even numbers is always easier. I do think that 3 kids would be okay, but then that'd be like the most that I'd want to have.
I actually went through a period when I was younger that I really wanted a big family. Like I was like, I want like 7 kids.
Oh my
because
gosh.
I also spent a lot of time with cousins growing up, and I loved that feeling of the house being like lively and always have people around. But then as you get older, you're like, reality, pushing out 7 humans from my body.
It's not gonna happen.
And then financially, if you have like a 9-person family, how do you make that work?
The fantasy seems more attainable.
Yeah.
Reality, not so much.
For you ladies, I grew up always wanting 2 girls. Do you guys have a certain sex that you wanted for your baby growing up? Because I know, granted, all of us want like a healthy child, but I think if you had to choose, or you had if you could
have a gender preference. I grew up it was just me and my sister, so our house was like super female dominated, and I kind of feel like for that reason I fantasize a little bit about what it would be like to have sons.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. I also don't want to be like really wanting one or the other, because you can't control what happens, and then it would suck if you're like.
That's true. I grew up with one little brother, so I'm the oldest, and I was always envious of my friends who had sisters because like they were really close and you could share clothes, and like there's a bond.
Mel, if you had 2 boys, what would you do?
Okay, old me would have been like, oh shit, because I don't know if I could I just never.
It would be 3 against 1 in your household.
Yeah, but then as I got like as I'm getting older, like I feel like sons though, because I have friends who are boys.
Yeah.
And my boo has a brother, and his household is all boys and one mom. They love the mom. Like they take care of the mother, and like I feel like if you have boys, they're more not more loving, but they're more. I guess they're more loving to the mom.
There is this, like the daddy's girl and mama's boy kind of thing. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something to that.
I'm not opposed to having.
Okay, but would you have more than 2 kids then?
No.
To try and get a girl?
No, I think for me, at 2, I'd be done.
So number over gender.
Totally.
I see.
The reason why I wanted 2 girls also is I think a lot of my friends always say, I want a boy and a girl, which is valid. But they always say, I want the boy first because I want the boy to take care of the little one. The sister.
Yeah.
And I was like, the reason why I don't want that is because growing up, my best friend, she had an older brother, and he was way overly protective to the point where like he would yell at me and be like, you're a bad influence, all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, you don't know what's going on, and you're just inserting yourself into her life, and you're not really being protective. You're being overbearing.
My cousin and her husband they also, boy, girl, but they wanted the reverse. So they wanted a daughter first and then a son.
I mean, I'm biased because I'm the older daughter and my brother's the younger one. I think that's great. That's a great
How is that dynamic like?
Well, I think for me, it's like I'm protective in a more nurturing way to him. And I feel like, I guess I'm more motherly.
And you guys are only 2 years apart, right?
No, we're 6.5.
Oh, I didn't know you were that far apart.
So I'm 26, my brother's 19.
Okay.
I think that's also why maybe we work okay because we have a large age gap, actually.
Yeah.
That's another question. How much time apart do you want between kids? Because some people will make the argument that you should have them closer together so that you kind of, as a parent, go through the whole like infant thing only one time, and then the like, middle school years at one time. And then some people say you should spread it apart, even for like financial reasons, like college tuition, so you're not like paying so much at one time.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. My sister and I are only 2 years apart. And
Same
I think when we were younger, that was one of the reasons why we'd fight so much.
Oh, really?
Especially in like high school, because I would be friends with her friends. And she'd be so upset that I was hanging out with her friends. And that was only because we were in the same school. It wasn't until like after college when we were more separated, when I was actually studying abroad, that's when we started getting a lot closer.
I'm mentally taking notes as you guys talk about this, so I know what to expect. Do you guys think about the names for your kids, or ever thought about what you're gonna name your child?
I really liked the name Amber for a really long time.
Ooh. Amber?
I can totally see you with a baby named Amber.
I also really liked names that could be like gender neutral, like Samantha. She's a girl, but she could go by Sam for short.
I like the name Jamie because of that reason too.
Oh yeah,
Jamie
Joey.
for a girl.
Oh, Joey's nice. Yeah.
Is that a girl's name?
Yeah.
Dawson's Creek.
Dawson's Creek, right? Yeah.
I actually really like the name Daniel. I know it's so common.
Damn.
But Daniel just sounds like, because you have to think of a name that, okay, my child could like, as a child, it fits her, but when she grows up, she could also like.
Oh, right. So it doesn't.
Because I have people tell me like, I'm not going to name my kid Zoe because Zoe, like.
Oh, Zoe was another one I liked.
Oh, really?
Because it's just eccentric, but yes, I
These
do
are very
see her.
Janet-esque names.
Do you like the name Ingrid? You would be like Ingrid. Just kidding.
Ingrid?
That's like
I've never
Hagrid
thought of.
with an I.
I feel like Hella would have a name like, I just picture you with boys and having like a really playful masculine name.
What's a play? What would that be?
Like Xander or something.
Xander. It's like salamander.
Actually, Xander is on the top 10 baby names for the year.
Really? Do you look at that list like every year? Or?
Well, I just happened to Google it one time during lunch.
Repeatedly every Wednesday. Yeah.
You know what? Okay, I already know the 2 girl names.
Go ahead. What's yours?
Okay, so I actually like the name Olivia.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's pretty.
Olivia's like, it's on the top thing too. But also another popular name is Chloe.
Chloe's cute.
Chloe's nice.
But everyone is named Chloe now. I'm just like, damn, dude.
That's probably one of the more popular baby names right now, huh?
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Ooh, so I have, let's see, the top 4 baby names of 2017 girls. Emma.
Emma's really popular. Yeah.
Olivia.
See?
Oh.
Ava. I feel like I've
Ava's
heard
nice.
a couple of times from other people. Sophia. For boys.
Us.
Yeah, a lot of us. Boys, Liam. Liam is nice.
Do you ever think about like how are your parents gonna pronounce the
Oh
names?
my God.
Like Liam.
Oh, no, that's true. That's true for Chinese, like the accent. What is the letters to avoid?
R and S.
Yeah.
And 3 syllables. So, funny. No, I know. I only know this because I'm obsessed.
syllables.
No, I only know this because my cousins My uncle decided to name all his kids 3-syllable names because his last name was Chu, and he was like, I need to compensate by having a long first name.
Okay.
He names the kids Alexandra, Christopher, and Zachary.
Oh no, that's
my-
hard for
and my-
the grandparents. Yeah.
My grandma would be like, Chris, could it? Didi 快点来啊. Just like say it in Chinese instead because she cannot pronounce it. So in my mind, I'm like, I need a name that's 2 syllables so my parents could say it or my family can speak it.
That's true. Yeah, because my cousin just had a baby and her name is Alana and the L and no one in the family, so they just call her Mei Mei.
Wait, how do they say Alana?
Alina. They get the A and the E mixed up a lot, and then the L gets challenging.
Oh, isn't Helen a difficult name?
No, people just call me Moi Moi. They don't even try.
It's like no. Yeah. So I think of names for me currently is like I like the name Leah. Like
Oh, that's
easy.
That's a pretty name. Oh, actually, I really like the name Leilana.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, I really like the name Lana. Sorry for all the Lanas out there, but then if you spell it backwards.
Lana? Wait, what?
Spell it backwards in your head.
backwards.
Oh, anal. But even you have to think of the spelling of your kid's name because, for example, like I like the name Leah, but if I spell it Leah, then I want to get Leia because freaking kids are so mean.
Yeah.
Actually, I named my little cousin Deanna.
Oh,
It's a pretty name, but she like hates her name right now, only because she can't like find her name on keychains and things like that. So that's also something to like
I can
consider.
never find my name on key.
Melody.
Yeah, only Melanie's there.
Oh.
So I hate the name
Melanie's
Melanie
more popular,
sometimes because it's a stupid name. Okay, so this is an ongoing joke with my friends. So my Chinese name is Cheng Chuan Ting.
That's hard to say.
So if you're Mandarin, they're like, "Oh my God, you're a sinking boat."
Oh.
I was like, "You bitches."
What does yours actually mean in Mandarin?
I have no idea actually.
Just ask your mom so that you you don't keep thinking of yourself as a sinking boat.
Yeah, it's forever ingrained.
So my Chinese name is Sunga. So mine is supposed to mean like ladylike.
Please.
But yeah, that's actually funny thing is on my social security card and my birth certificate, my middle name is Sunga, but it's spelled Seeyah. See ya. It's terrible.
Oh my God. I have my driver's license looks like they spelled it phonetically horribly. So it's Janet Ching Chong. No. Yeah. I was like, this is the ultimate.
Dude.
Like, it's literally Chen Chun Wang. And I'm like, that doesn't even, no. Like,
Oh my God, that's pretty bad, dude.
So these are all things we have to think about when we're naming our kids.
Both Chinese and English names.
Do you guys have friends who have started having children now that we're, reaching the later half of our 20s and early 30s? Has a baby process started for
None of my close friends are pregnant. But I have some classmates in high school that they all have kids now. And I'm just like, shit, I'm not there at all.
How about you, Janet?
My cousin recently had a baby.
She's so cute.
Yeah.
Alana?
So that's the closest person. Oh, no. I have another high school friend, but she's in Chicago now. So just this week I got a text with her baby arrived. But I'm going through the process now where a lot of my friends, they got married the last 2 or 3 years. That was a wave of marriages. And now they're talking about pregnancy. So some of them are on the path of trying to get pregnant. So that's been an entire world to be exposed to. That's been very different.
So it's crazy because that's your new wave that's going to happen.
Yeah.
My wave is marriages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then, wait, Helen's sister just had a baby.
She did.
How does that feel to have a nephew?
Pretty amazing. Even though I'm far away, so she's in Boston, I'm in Los Angeles, but I FaceTime him every day.
Yeah.
And screen cap it every day.
And you were actually in the delivery room.
I was
born.
when that happened. It's a crazy process. It's funny because when you watch movies and TV shows, it shows this world where you have a baby, you go in, you're crying, screaming, you're about to give birth, and then 2 minutes later out pops the baby. Mm-hmm. No, that's not the case. And actually, for your first birth, I think it takes 24 hours of labor before they actually come out.
Yep.
And the first birth is always the most difficult.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
But I was in the delivery room and I was backed up against the wall because I could not get myself to go down there and take a look at what was happening.
So you didn't look?
No, I didn't look. I was just like holding her hair because her husband was holding onto her hands. And I was just throwing encouraging words out to her, like, push, just do it. You're the best.
Was she crying as she was giving birth?
No, she wasn't. I think at that point, like, you're just trying your best to like use all of your energy to push that you can't even like have any other emotions. Yeah, it's crazy. Like all that stuff that comes out, it's like a human like volcano.
Oh my God.
I sat down because my cousin and I are pretty close in age. So when she brought home the baby, I was like, but seriously, how was like childbirth? She's like, like most of the pain is the contractions leading up to it. Yeah. But then the actual labor, because they gave her an epidural, she didn't really feel anything.
But at the same time, I think when you're getting closer to actually giving birth, when the baby's, I think at like 10 centimeters dilated, when the baby's head is starting to crown, that's when you actually start pushing. But before then, the doctor tries to give you less epidural, which is like the medicine that goes into your back.
The spine,
right, into your spine. But they start taking some of that off because they need you to feel
to be able to push.
Yeah. So you kind of feel a lot of it towards the end of it. Yeah.
But she did say, she's like, it was the labor part was the most painful thing that I've ever endured. But after going through it, she said, I do want a second. And I find that you get women who have either, if they have a really bad experience, they might just be like, and I'm done with after one. You know?
I always wonder how it's like for the mother to be like, this is to see your child for the first time. Like, even just you seeing like.
That was such a cute, that was really cute. She was crying.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was very crying?
Make sure you take your bra off beforehand. Because I guess you're supposed to do like skin to skin right away.
Oh, okay.
That's like very important. I had to learn that term in the delivery room. She was like, skin to skin, skin to skin. I'm like, what's going on?
Here's my skin.
So I had to like help her rip off her bra while they're like about to give her the baby and cutting the umbilical cord.
That's probably how it started too.
Yeah.
Hey, wait, so my question also is, okay, would you want your husband to be down there seeing all that stuff happening?
Yes. Better be there. I'm pushing it out. He better at least be able to look.
But what if he's there, like at the top half of your body, supporting?
Oh, right, that's true. Do you want?
Like, he's in the delivery room, but he's just not down there watching things blow up.
No, I would like him to be there.
So you don't care if he doesn't want to see the baby coming out of your vagina.
I think I'd prefer if he would. But to Helen's point, then if he's there, he's not next to you. So I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah. But I mean, my mom kicked my dad out of the delivery.
Really?
Oh, really?
Because I think when you're in that moment, it gets really stressful. And if the guy isn't like
supportive,
or he was like trying to help, but she was like, "You're not helping. Get out."
There's also like when the baby's about to come out, they also have the husband usually like hold onto a leg. Yeah. Like a lot of people have to hold up the legs so that they can actually push it out.
Yeah.
So that's the only point when he was down there. And then at one point the nurse was like, look, the baby's head is crowning. And he peeped down and he just had
like,
this
oh no,
look of fear on his face. Like, I can't unsee that. Shit.
I feel like a lot of women would think about like, crap, if you see that, like, granted, it's the miracle of birth, it's your baby, but you're like, would you still want to go down there afterwards? For the men listeners, I'm curious from you guys. Like, do you want to be in the delivery room watching your baby come out? Or would you rather stand next to your wife or your baby mama and not see that happen? Because I'm curious to hear like what you guys have to say about this.
If you aren't like stretched enough, and that's also a point in time when your baby's coming out that it's not getting enough oxygen. So you can't leave him like in the middle trying to like get out.
It needs to happen quickly so he can breathe.
So sometimes they come in and make an incision so that you can actually tear. It's better for you. You heal more quickly. This is what I've learned. I don't know from experience, but you heal more quickly when you naturally tear. But if they come in and they cut it, that takes a lot longer.
Oh my God, I'm just kind of horrified right now.
And the thing is that when at that point you don't have your epidural like really running, so you feel. I remember when they cut. My sister was like, ow, the fuck?
They go inside your vagina and
they cut the outside.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then they will sew it back up.
They'll sew it back up after.
Oh my God. Whoa.
I mean, there's like a new, I don't know if it's a new trend, but it's I don't even know what it's called, but it's for women to like tighten their vaginas. Have you guys heard of that procedure?
It's called not having sex for 5 years.
That's one way to do it. Well, there's Kegel exercises where they say to help you with like general female health, but also for some women, like to tighten up I don't know what the procedure is, but I feel like no one else is
like a medical procedure.
Yeah, kind of like how you do like breast implants or like a facelift. Like you can also tighten things up down there.
Interesting.
That makes sense. I wonder what it's like to
cut your vagina. No,
or just like what it's like afterwards. You know, what does it look like, or how does it heal up?
We should ask your sister.
Does it feel the same?
I think different women.
I'm going to ask her these questions. All right, Annie, talk to me.
Well, different women have different experiences, I think, because I feel like, I mean, some people, if you think about their kids, they had to have started having sex like within a 2 or 3 month period if their kids are like only a year-ish apart. Yeah. So I think it depends, you know, depends on the birth, depends on the woman.
How much you tear.
Yeah.
So one thing about birth that I didn't know is that it's painful. The contractions are painful, but it's when you're just about to give birth that you feel like all this pressure. I had never heard of pressure before as like the most difficult part, but my sister was like, I need to take a big dump. And that's a feeling that you have for 2 hours before you actually start pushing. And they can't give you any medicine for it. It's just the feeling of pressure and just needing to like push something out. But you can't push until the baby's ready to come out. So you got to hold it.
Oh, wow. So it's like while she's dilating before she reaches the peak dilation point. And the baby is now at that makes sense because it's like going down.
There's so much pressure that's pushing the baby down. Yeah.
Oh,
so that's something that I did not know because she was crying over that, but not the contractions because the epidural like fixes that or cures that part of the pain, but it doesn't cure the pressure part. So
I'm like slightly horrified.
Mel is turning really red.
Like
I'm getting really fidgety.
Here I am like fantasizing about this, like being pregnant.
She's
and
sitting there in her like white picket house fence with a baby in each arm.
She wants the movie magic.
Holy shit.
Literally.
Dude, I don't like it's crazy because like none of us experience this. I'm just even hearing about like your like experience being with your sister who was pregnant. I'm like, holy shit, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's also very scary because there was one point when the epidural got clogged, and so the anesthesiologist came in and like for some reason unclogged it, but then upped the dosage. So she got way more than she should have had, and she was like in and out. She was starting to faint. Her blood pressure just dropped really low, and then the baby's heart rate was like super volatile. It was going from like 20 to like 200. And it should have been around like 150 the whole time. So all these doctors came rushing in. It was like a really scary point. It's crazy. Really scary.
Man, actually makes me really want to we need to bring on a mother guest for next season because I want to hear from her experience. Like, how is it like for you to feel like your freaking baby's like heart rate is like, you know, contrasting and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
Stuff that no one talks about, but very real life.
Yeah. I'm so shocked.
We're educating Mel and her fantasies.
Reality check. Right. Freaking right now.
I know we feel like having kids is a little bit out in the future.
Yeah.
But you know, like the body that you're going to be growing a child in, like however you're treating your body at a given point, like like
right now?
Well, right now, or just like, you know, even I think like 2 to 3 years before you get pregnant, like that's a state of, you know, how you're going to be housing a human. So do you think about like how drastic your life might need to change or how you treat your body?
Oh my God.
That seems so far away.
I know, because like right now, honestly, I'm hungover as shit. And I cannot be a good mom or house anything right now. Except water.
Yeah, because it's not even, I think a lot of women, as they get closer, they get kind of, you know, freaked out that, oh my God, I can't like drink for an entire year and I can't like eat sushi or like deli meats and that kind of stuff. But even like for a year or two before you get pregnant, whatever you're doing to your body, like, you know.
Is that, that's true. I guess I didn't think about that.
I could totally see you two being like very like health conscious and like being those pregnant workout moms or something, or in the gym and like on the couch.
That's another thing they say, like being because like if you haven't been active up till pregnancy, you don't, like the doctors will tell you to not really strain yourself, right, for the sake of the child. But if you've been working out before and you like are pretty physically active, then you can kind of maintain that activity. And I feel like that generally also helps you feel more comfortable during pregnancy.
Yeah, I heard that if you're active, then pregnancy is actually a lot easier.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of just like stamina.
Totally.
Yeah, stamina and also just strength and like pushing the whole time.
Yeah.
Fuck, you guys are gonna be some strong ass pregnant women. Like, I'm gonna be that girl with like a fridge of pickles or something because like I can't move. Like I'm not gonna be able to move when I'm pregnant. Well, have you guys bys been thinking about it more so? Because, you know,
I mean, I'm still pretty far from that, I think. I don't have a
went
dude.
on a date last week.
Yeah. That could be a baby in 2-3 years.
I think about it more just because a little bit more just because my sister had a baby.
Yeah.
So just seeing her go through that process. But it's like so scary just thinking about like postpartum and those, you know, things that people actually don't talk about too much. But when you have a baby, all of the hormones that were like in your placenta, I think it's where it's located. I don't really know. Like that comes out. And so like if you imagine just all these hormones coming out of your body over the course of like a couple of minutes, then all your emotions are going to be like
all
roller coastering.
Speaking of placenta, I happened to watch an episode, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Sorry. They eat their placenta, like, or something like. I don't know why they did that.
It's supposed to be. I think it's like a very high amount of nutrition or like vitamins or something.
Okay, so would you eat your placenta?
I mean, not like straight from the womb, but like
It's
sure
grilled
it's
up,
like
with some lemon.
But I think don't they take it in pill form or
So
is it?
I'm looking this up now. People who support eating the placenta say that it can raise your energy and breast milk quantity.
Oh.
They also say, that's actually another thing that I want to bring up.
Breastfeeding.
Yeah. So they also say that it can level off your hormones, lowering your chances of postpartum depression and insomnia. Let's eat our placenta, ladies.
I would eat it if my husband eats the placenta too.
Wait, but that's like taking your share because you want it's like helping. Yeah, right. So if he's eating it, then you have less.
I'd want him to like take a taste of it.
Eat my placenta. There have to be placenta recipes.
So one thing I did want to bring up is like breastfeeding is actually, so I guess it depends on the woman, right? But my sister, after she had given birth, she didn't have enough milk in her body. And I think all women just kind of assume that your baby's going to latch on and start drinking right away. So like the night that she brought him home, we saw that his lips were super dry and we're like, what's going on? Like we don't really understand. Like, and he's crying constantly for like 5 hours at a time. They brought him into the neonatal intensive care unit. And they were saying that the baby was dehydrated. He didn't have enough breast milk. And so the hospital should have given him formula along with her breast milk so that he's getting enough food. Which is like just so scary to think that as a mom, like you don't know these things.
Right.
And it's not until you experience like he's in the emergency care right after getting out of the hospital, going straight back in.
Baby.
So, and my sister was just like crying the whole time, thinking that she's like a bad mom, but she's a great mom. She's amazing. Scary stuff.
Yeah. What scares you guys the most about having children? Like out of everything, the process, like pregnancy, labor and delivery.
The cutting in the vagina now. You guys scare the shit out of me with that.
I'm a little scared of the pregnancy process because I feel like I've heard people who
like getting pregnant or like
no. Not scared of that part. But like I've heard some women have really good experiences, like they don't really have a lot of morning sickness. And then I've also met women who like were like bedridden and like throwing up constantly, and it's 9 months. 9 months if you're like, if you know it's uncomfortable, like I don't know, that scares me a little bit.
I think I'm gonna be that bedridden pregnant woman because I already get nauseous just driving. Yeah, because
that's because you're hungover. That's a little different.
I know the driving. No, but in general, like, I have really bad motion sickness. I just think.
You do. You get car sick easily.
Yeah, I get nauseous easily. So like when I have a baby, I'm like, shit, I'm gonna be that person. All three of us should just get pregnant at the same time and see what type of pregnant women we are.
And share on the podcast.
Yeah.
Season 2. No, I'm just kidding.
We could rest our mics. 12. We could rest our mics on our belly.
Dumb. And then it kicks and it falls off.
Sure. We could tell them, yeah.
So we've been talking a lot about kids, but at the same time, we know that we don't really want kids at this point in our life.
Definitely not.
On the topic of that, a lot of us are possibly on the pill or we're using some sort of method to avoid pregnancy. But since we are all three sexually active, has anyone ever had a pregnancy scare?
Not recently, because you have to be having sex to have a pregnancy scare. But yeah, in the past, I've had a couple times where I've taken a pregnancy test and then, pleasantly relieved. I feel like it sucks to be a woman and to have a pregnancy scare and to not involve or like if the guy is not someone that you feel comfortable involving.
Oof. Wait, is that what happened?
Yeah, I've had that happen.
Really?
Or, I mean, it was like someone that I was maybe casually seeing. So I was like, I really don't want to have this conversation with them. But the like 20 minutes that it takes for you to be going to the drugstore and getting the test for yourself and then taking the test and getting the results, you're just like, oh my God, all the like worst case scenarios are running through your head.
Especially because you have to keep it internal because you don't have anyone to talk to about
Yes,
it.
exactly. So that's never fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Have you guys ever taken a pregnancy test?
Yes. Okay, so I'm a really paranoid person, and actually, when I first started having sex, that's when I thought I was pregnant. But then I was actually really young. I was 16.
Wow.
And I had my pregnancy scare.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, nothing really happened. Like, it wasn't like, I was just really paranoid, so
Can I ask what led to that scare? Were you using a condom?
No, I was on birth control.
Okay.
But I think back then, like, it wasn't like I missed my period. It was like, I think maybe pre-cum slipped in or something, like something so lame, right? And so I I took a pregnancy test, and I got to the point where I didn't believe the test. I told my mom, and I told her, I need to check if I'm pregnant.
Oh my gosh, imagine your 16-year-old daughter.
I mean, I was like 18.
Okay.
Maybe. But
Have
then,
you guys, well, did you know about Plan B at the time?
yes, but I didn't want it. I don't know why I didn't want to take it. But then,
It can really mess up with your hormones.
yeah.
And your
But
cycle,
rather just get a result saying you're not pregnant versus I'm going to take this to prevent or whatever.
Right.
So my mom took me to the doctors. We got my blood checked, and I wasn't pregnant. This all started with just pre-cum. I think the topic of babies is something we kind of fantasize growing up, and then now that we're at this age now where our friends are actually having babies, it's kind of crazy to hear their experiences. But obviously, we're not mothers, we're not pregnant women. I think, we have a lot to learn about this, and I think next season we could bring on a mom who's been going through this to get their feedback on this.
Yeah, this is fun for us to just kind of like talk about and fantasize, and hopefully some of our listeners who are much younger maybe and you don't quite have friends yet who are friends or siblings who are having babies, you can kind of relate to some of this discussion.
And hopefully you learned a thing or two that didn't scare you from having babies.
And if it did, it's okay, because I am scared of having my vagina snipped now during pregnancy. All right, so I guess this wraps up episode 12, our last episode for season 1. It's freaking crazy to know that this is, like, we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe we've done 12 recordings and 12 rounds of editing.
But just crazy. I feel like when we started it, we had no expectations as to what the result of this podcast was going to be.
Right.
So reading, like, your comments or just seeing you guys like our photos on Instagram, it's so humbling, but it's also really rewarding for us because we didn't expect this kind of response.
Yeah, receptivity for sure. I think, getting some emails from people where you're writing paragraphs to us and really like sharing your stories out of listening to us, I think for me that's been really rewarding and a super pleasant surprise.
Yeah. And I think for us also, we started this just to have a voice out there, more as like a fun side project.
Yeah.
But seeing the responses in the comments and how people relate to us make us feel like, this is something that we're doing right. And for us to be also able to relate to other people as normal 9 to 5, 5 to 9 hustling, working women.
Another thing I'm actually curious about, because we talked about this outside, was how are people finding our podcast? Because it kind of blows my mind. I'm like, wait, how did you find this in Australia or New Zealand?
Yeah, during the holiday break, if you guys can maybe message us and let us know if you remember like how you discovered us, we would really love to
find out.
That. Yeah. And I think for me personally, this experience of creating a podcast, for women, but specifically with an Asian American perspective, it's really challenged me in having to get more clear about my personal cultural identity. So that's been a very rewarding process.
I was talking about this with my boo. After leaving, like, not working in YouTube as much anymore, and I felt that I was missing out on something. And I think I always wanted to create something out of nothing. And for me, this podcast was that next step for me. And, working that 9 to 5 job, you don't really have time to do things that you really want to do anymore. And so for me, it means a lot to like create something again.
Yeah. And since we're all sharing our stories here, for me, I work in a job that has no real creative outlet. And other than like Facebook, Zanga, Instagram, those were my only creative outlets. So I think this was the first time venturing into something that had a little bit more of an impact. And I think the outcome has been as rewarding as people in the creative industry do say it is.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that we also wanted to bring up is that when we first started this podcast, it was not easy.
Oh no.
We would sit around at a table and drink like bottles of wine
and then realize we just sound like a bunch of drunk girls.
Yeah. But we needed that like liquid courage to try and get it out. But once we start listening back, we're like, oh, okay, we don't want to come off sloppy like this.
Do you guys remember how many hours of meetings we had even before recording, just to try to understand like what are we trying to do, what should we call this, like how are we going to work this into our schedule? And then not even mentioning like the first episode, it took us like four recordings. Like that's like 4 separate times where we got together and met up and actively tried to do a recording and realized, oh my God, this is not something we want to put out into the world.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy because like even that part, like that's not even talking about editing. Like that's something we had to learn on our own too.
Right.
Thank you to Phil.
Thanks to our
I don't know,
producers
are
and
you
helpers.
sure to say your name? No.
Thanks to our producers and helpers.
I think the hardest thing with starting the podcast is like it's a running train, right? It's something that like how do you keep this going when we all have our full-time jobs?
Yeah, I think that was something that was really scary. Is like, fine, it was hard enough to just get one episode done, but then it's like when you put that out, you've committed to publishing something either weekly or bi-weekly. And we went back and forth with scheduling too, right? We're like, maybe we should just do 2 episodes a month because it's like a lot to try to commit to one weekly, but we pushed a little bit harder and then we made it through. I don't kind of know how we did it, actually.
And honestly,
I'm
not gonna lie, like I had breakdowns. I would text you guys and be like, I am in the beginning, I said, I'm so nervous because I feel like, what if this is not good enough to represent these women?
Right.
Like I don't want to do a bad job.
Right.
And that pressure of like saying like, crap, I know we're doing this for fun, but like people are going to hear us and like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
Yeah.
We definitely pushed off our like launch date.
So much.
So many times. But I think it has been really helpful to have a supportive team and you two ladies who are super flexible. Like whenever things come up, we're able to move things around and kind of be there for each other when we have those like mental breakdowns. And it's not easy to, have all of our schedules align and record and edit and come up, plan and organize and all of that. So it was definitely something that we learned along the way. And even like speaking into a mic is not as easy as it might sound.
Totally. We talk off mic very easily all the time. And then you put a mic in front of us and it's kind of like, what were we saying again?
I think one thing that we realized is this whole podcast, like this process or just running a podcast is really foreign to us.
Right.
And it's not as simple as you say putting a mic in front of us. No, it's like developing a schedule, developing editing skills, developing public speaking skills, social media skills, all these things we had to learn.
And we're still learning and we're trying to get better and we want to get better, especially for the next season. I know we've received a lot of comments from people saying they want us to dive deeper into topics, developing it a bit more, having longer than 25-minute podcasts.
Yeah. Having guests on our show, that's something we definitely plan to have for season 2 as well. So we really appreciate you guys writing in any of your thoughts because we do read everything and we are going to actively try to make things better in season 2.
Woo! So, all right, guys, thank you so much for listening to season 1.
We hope you have an amazing holiday season. Spend lots of time with family and friends.
And we'll be back with season 2 in January of 2018. In the meanwhile, we'll keep updating our social and connecting with you guys. So send us your messages and look forward to interacting with you guys.
All right, guys. Bye.